My one and only chance of proving my innocence. The trial that would decide my destiny. 22nd November, 9 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 2. So this is a courtroom. Very observant. The Supreme Court of Judicature. No court in the land has more power. I don't much like the look of these people sitting in the public gallery. They seem very military, it seems. Lots of military and other uniforms in there. The powers that be have deemed that this be a secret trial. A secret trial? A trial that's closed to ordinary members of the public. Only military and government officials may attend. Why? What? But why? That's what I asked! It'll become clear in time, but for now... You need to concentrate, Yunosuke. It's about to begin. The court will now hear the trial of Yunosuke Naruhodo. The prosecution is ready, Your Excellency. As is the defense. Before we begin, there is one point of order I would like to confirm. Yesterday evening, the defense made a last-minute request for a change of advocate. That is correct, Your Excellency. I made the request myself. Normal procedure is for the defendant's advocacy to be decided 2 days prior to trial. As this is an unusual circumstance, I am obliged to ask for final confirmation now. Who advocates for the defendant in this trial? This is it. This must be the question. Who's going to defend me? That's the question the professor meant. But then, if I say I do, then I defend myself. I need to answer quickly. What should I do? Answer, I do. Your Excellency, no confirmation is needed. As I'm standing here beside a defendant, I hope it is clear... What is the meaning of this unruly outburst? He raised his hand! I would like to inform the court that I, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, will be defending myself. You'll be... What? What are you playing at, Ryunosuke? Professor Mikotoba told me everything, just now before the trial. He did what? He said that your dreams of studying abroad would be dashed if you were to lose. How sad. It means you don't have faith in me. You think I won't be able to get you off. No, it's not that, really. It's just that, well, on the off chance that things don't go well for me, I couldn't bear the reason that you... Yes, I knew that's how you'd feel, which is exactly why I decided not to tell you. This Professor Mikotoba shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Very well. The court hereby recognizes the defendant's desire to advocate for himself in today's trial. Well, well. Does the accused admit defeat already? Renouncing his own counsel? Really?
Objection!
Make no mistake, Counsel. This merely shows that the defendant's innocence is so apparent, he's confident he can speak for himself. Isn't that so, Naruhodo-san? Huh? Oh, yes, exactly. Exactly what I wasn't thinking! I'm not confident at all! In fact, my mind's a complete blank. I realize you're in charge now, but still, try not to look so bewildered. Well, for a mere university student to be brought before the Supreme Court, you must have perpetrated the most heinous crime indeed. As you are no doubt aware, this is the Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan. Accordingly, the very highest standards of conduct are expected of all present. Do I make myself clear, Defendant Naruhodo? Also, why are we in front of the highest court in the land 3 days after the trial is committed? I mean, surely we'd have to go through several levels of courts to get to the Supreme Court. Then again, the whole plot of the game so far is about the justice system not being quite right. But yeah, let's go with that. Yes, Your Excellency. It is therefore my duty to assess your competence for the task you have undertaken. My competence? What does that mean? If you need to ask that, you're incompetent. He's questioning your ability to do the job. Well, he can't be questioning it more than I am. So let's start with this very simple question. Yes. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. Well, that's easy enough. I've heard his name more times than I'd care to remember. But, wait. I'm so nervous I can't even remember that. What was it again? Inosuke. Let me guess. Your mind's gone blank. You know me so well. All the relevant information for this case can be found in the court record. But I can't even find that. It's simple. You can access the court record with a press of the E key. If you ever find you've forgotten something, just consult that. It's all in there. I just have to press the E key for the court record. Alright, there's no time to lose. This is the list of evidence you've collected. Now try switching to people instead with E. You'll find the details about the victim in here. When you're done, just press the Z key to go back. John H. Wilson, the victim of this case. He was a visiting professor of medicine at Yume University from the British Empire. John H. Wilson. Okay. So remember, everything to do with the court case can be found in the court record. Now you'd better not keep His Excellency waiting any longer. Go on. Find the victim in the People section of the court record and then press R to present. Try it now.
Yes!
The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Well, at least you can remember the name of an esteemed member of your own university, despite the fact that this took you several minutes to remember. Dr. Wilson was a visiting professor from England, invited to Yume University 3 years ago. Indeed, which is the reason why this case has such profound implications. Okay, that makes sense. It's a murder of a foreign national, especially at a time of, well, quite race tension. The British Empire is at present our country's most valuable foreign ally. Yeah, that's correct. And as most of you will be aware, we have just signed a new treaty together after lengthy negotiations. There can't be anyone who hasn't heard of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. And yet, despite these delicate circumstances, the blood of an Englishman has been spilt on our soil. You two are both undergraduates at the Imperial Yume University, are you not? Murdering a professor from the very institution that provides your education. Have you no honor? But I didn't do it. This case is coming under great scrutiny from our allies on the other side of the world. The court therefore wishes for a speedy resolution to this matter. In other words, our feeble government is scared of upsetting England's policymakers. Okay, yeah, that also makes sense from a certain point of view. And you're a convenient and expendable scapegoat to blame for this crime. So that's why this trial has these unusual peculiarities, is it? Exactly. Our government needs to convict someone as quickly as possible. Or because the victim was an Englishman. For he himself has said it, and it's greatly to his credit. He remains an Englishman. Yes, Dr. Wilson was an Englishman. For he may have been a Russian, a French or Turco-Prussian, or perhaps Italian, or perhaps Italian. He remains an Englishman. But nationalities and treaties won't make any difference for me here. The fact is, I was there at the scene of the crime. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better get going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a little while longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. The British Empire. Wow. It's incredible to think. Wait. I've seen that man at university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still, I should go and say hello. So I went over to the professor's table. And introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Now then, let me pose my next question to you, Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. How did this professor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson, lose his life? State before the court the cause of death. The cause of death. Well, obviously, that was, Yunosuke. Remember that in court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence. By evidence? But how? Find the piece of evidence that shows the professor's cause of death and select present. Do it now. The death occurred a little after 2 p.m. and was caused by loss of blood from a gunshot to the chest. The bullet did not pass through the victim's body.
Yes!
Well... According to this document, the victim suffered a hemorrhagic death due to gunshot trauma. Learn to read, you imbecile! That's the post-mortem report, I take it. Sorry, yes, that's right. That's, post-mortem report. In the West, a doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. Oh, I see. As long as I'm not going to be tested on any of this later. This is the so-called photographic print of the scene of the crime. You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. Thank you, counsel. The court will accept this modern scientific evidence into the record. The photographic print of the victim has been entered into the court record. So that's a photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before. It's clearly superior to a drawing. The detail is incredible. Very well, I am satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. Certainly, Your Excellency. So without further ado, in order to better appraise the court with the facts of the case, the prosecution hereby calls its first witness, who was there at the scene of the crime when it happened. Yeah, this is it then. I think I may have worked out what the professor had in mind. The professor? You mean Dr. Mikotoba? Yes, clearly you're the defense lawyer today, not me. But that doesn't mean... Well, I can still act as your assistant. Ah, of course! When he was speaking with me before, he simply said, Kazuma Sogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. He really has been sticking his oar in, hasn't he? Maybe, but any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated, Kazuma. Well, my first piece of advice is, rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Only if you rein in that crazy headband and control the cold stares first. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court, please. Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I am the head waiter at the Western-style restaurant called Le Carnaval. Man, you should have that checked out. Are you alright? You seem to be coughing up some, blood. It is a regular occurrence. It really doesn't bother me. You have tuberculosis. Well, it really, really should. As everyone knows, the capital's southeastern quarter was developed for foreign visitors some years ago. It's become a very fashionable district now, full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. This grim crime occurred in one of the district's so-called restaurants, an Occidental eatery, 3 days ago. Understood, Hosonaga-san. You will kindly tell the court everything you can about the incident. At once, sir. And no petty interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please. Oh, perspiring maybe, but aspiring? It was just after 2 p.m. on the day in question. We have few diners at that time of day. The lunchtime rush was over, and there were only 3 tables still occupied. That fits in with my memory of it too. There was hardly anyone in the place. Ahem. It was when I was in the kitchen putting away the crockery and cutlery. A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair, and standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student.
Yes!
Hold on, let me just clarify something here. While I did pick up a gun that I found lying on the floor beside the professor, I didn't shoot him.
Objection!
I believe I asked you to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness's report of what happened, you amateur. But the next time you interrupt at an inappropriate time, you will be penalized, Defendant Naruhodo. Don't worry, Yunosuke, you'll have your chance to fight back. For now, we must just quietly listen to the witnesses. If I may confirm one point, waiter. Standing beside the victim with a gun in hand was the same man we see in court today. Yes, without question. I see. And apart from the accused, was there anyone else standing beside the victim? No. There was no one else around that table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. Wait, what did he just say? There was no one else around that table. What's the matter, Yunosuke? That's just not right. When I went over to Dr. Wilson to say hello, there was a woman sitting opposite him at the table. Really? And that's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjecting, but still, what should I do? Well, we've been told to wait and see. I desperately want to say something, but I was told not to interject. Ryunosuke, if your parents tell you to study, you're the kind of man who would diligently get to work, aren't you? I suppose I am. I'd never have got into Yume University otherwise. But you can't just always follow the rules in life, you know. If you don't say what you want to say right now, you'll seriously regret it when you're found guilty. Alright, you've scared me. I won't forget that piece of advice in a hurry. And there is something I want to say. I'm just going to shut my eyes and say it.
Yes!
Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at the same table.
Objection!
Dear me, dear me. What are we going to do with you? With your blatant disregard for court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. Could it be that the accused, this mere student, is not a real lawyer after all? But I'm sure of what I saw. Osanaga-san, is there any chance you're mistaken? Perhaps your memory of events is hazy. No. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I don't believe it. Ahem. I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Please have a look if you'd like to. Let me see. A sketch of the establishment's layout drawn by yourself, I presume. That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone. Well, you're clearly a very conscientious waiter. Thank you, sir. And I have absolutely no idea how a plan on a business card proves that the man was dining alone. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Well, is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course. Here you are. What was that about? He's been completely calm and collected until now. Something certainly seems to have shaken him. The waiter's business card has been entered into the court record. So, the court has now heard a précis of the case. Yes, at the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant. The only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem we are looking at a black and white case here. Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you. We will only kill you half to death. In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. But I must warn the defense, if you are determined to pursue matters further in this trial, the prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who were present at the scene of the crime. What do you think I should do, Kazuma? What do you mean? Well, I'm going to be found guilty one way or another, it seems. Wouldn't it be sensible to plead guilty at this stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual, about these peculiarities. You've said it, Professor Mikotoba said it, and so has the judge and the prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push this. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. And yet, despite knowing that, You're willing now to throw that trust back in my face? Is that it? What? If the accused is in fact innocent, then a defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you just going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryunosuke. The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. Then we'll see just how decisive the evidence really is. Indeed. Prosecutor Auchi, please continue with proceedings. Yes, well, you were warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be. In a few short moments from now, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced forever. The prosecution calls its next witness. Very well, officer. Bring forth the witness at once.